Okay, this will be a video chart on CRWV. Did this one a couple days ago, and then I had a bunch of requests on it today, kind of what happened, and it also makes a really good example, kind of a real life example of just a little trick you can use to kind of figure out when these stocks are starting to run out of gas and when the tank's running empty. So just want to go over both of those. Video won't be too long. Pretty much this one pertains to the bottom feeders if you're a Momo player. This one clearly has no more momentum left in it, but if you are a bottom feeder, it looks like the price may be visiting a potential risk versus reward setup that might be pretty attractive. And then, obviously if you're looking for some education too, then stick around and I'll start with that. So, right here, you can picture a car speeding down the highway, and at some point you got to wonder, well, when is the gas going to start to run out of the tank? And the fuel nozzle or the fuel gauge you should use is one of your indicators. You could use the MACD, but in this case I like to use the RSI. And what you see happening here is, notice how we had a high here, and then a high here, and then a high over here, which was just a little bit higher than this one right there. So in a nutshell, we had the price putting in higher highs. Now over the same period of time, look what's going on down here with the RSI. So let me change this so it sticks out a little bit better. But during the period where the price was putting in these higher highs down here, this indicator was declining. This is what we call a negative divergence, and this was a nice little warning that this thing was starting to run out of steam. The price was putting in higher highs, a good thing, yes, but when you see this within the indicators, that's always rough. Now here we had the same thing. You had a high here, and then it put in a little high, but it actually went down. But notice how this wasn't, this was still within a tight little range. This here is just blatantly obvious how, this high and then the next high over here was way down here, and then this next high, the thing's way down here again. So always keep your eye out for these negative divergences. So that's a quick little education message on the day. Now for you bottom feeders out there, people that like to play those risk versus reward scenarios, and just a word of warning, this is only for the disciplined traders. And what I mean by disciplined is they can take a loss. They don't mind taking a loss. They're not one of these people that keep on averaging down and then all of a sudden turn into an investor because they don't want to take a loss. What we have here is a nice little risk versus reward right around, I'm just going to call it the 5 cent, 5.5 cent area right down here. So I'm going to make this extra thick to represent what will hopefully be a nice little bounce area down here. Now where is this coming from? You can see here, going back to the volume, that we had this initial big surge of volume here, and the price headed up, and then it went through this nasty little downwards move here on higher volume. But then this is right where all the buyers stepped in, right around the 5.5 cent area, which is what makes it this key level of support. And then obviously the rest is history from there. So potentially some support here, but at the same time, if this sort of heavy volume and price action keeps up, it's going to crash right down through here. But that's where the discipline needs to come in. But if you are a bottom feeder or wondering where the bottom feeders are probably going to be hanging out at, it's going to be right around this area here, because this is where the previous area of support was after this initial big move, consolidation, and then kind of miniature dump here happened. But this is where all the buyers stepped in, right around this area. So that is where the chart stands. Again, always be looking out for those negative divergences. And for you bottom feeders, this is the area where all you guys are going to be hanging out over the next couple of days to see if you can get any sort of bounce or anything like that. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I'd encourage you to check out bullwarriorstocks.com. If you go there and sign up for the free newsletter, you'll be sent a free ebook, and with your newsletter subscription, you'll get chart setups, trade ideas, educational pieces, all sorts of things from penny stocks up to big boards. So there's good variety, something for everybody. It is all free. We've been making some good money together on alerts. So I'd encourage you to go to the website, sign up, and see what it's all about. One more time, this was CRWV. Thanks for listening.